I think we're now live.
Yes, we are. Yay! Okay, great.
The law told me that this. He buys sushi. Okay.
All right. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Today we have another conversation, and we have with us today our friend Xuan Liang. Xuan Liang, would you want to say hello to everybody?
Hi everyone. Hi Eddie. Hi Julia.
Hello.
Yeah, today we're going to talk about this topic called being nature. And it might sound very broad, but it's really, to me, it is really about how we live life. And it's a very basic and simple principle, but there are many things that we can learn from nature if we look at the larger nature, and we can also pay attention to what is within that is natural. So
Yes.
I would like to hear from both of you what you think about this topic and what you have to say.
Yeah.
Nature, if we look at
If you asked me this question a long time ago, I'll be so confused. I would be like, what can I do much more? How can I try harder to understand that, And now I just know it's something so simple, so much more simple than our minds think. And it's underlined everywhere. If we are aware, it's always here. Something very simple, so beautiful when we really open our eyes and we see. You, Eddie?
For me, in the beginning, I struggled to realize if I were in nature or not, because we have to be aware and pay a lot of attention, because sometimes we could be running on a script like society or some values like family history or what we think we are, or if we're just a representation of a character that we have been building since we're born. So yeah, this assembling of the image or character that we build for ourselves, I think is one of the first things I had to do to realize what am I not and what am I, and what is being natural or unnatural. So in my experience, it required a little bit of deconstruction on that.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's exactly what I wanted to say too, that in order to know what nature is, we have to sort of like unpack it and see what it is not, isn't it?
Exactly.
So Eddie, what do you think is not the maybe you start us off with something first.
Well, I have this habit, this exercise I do like constantly is like when I have to make decisions, or when I have to observe where I am or what's my moment now, I'll usually imagine what would I be, or what would I be doing if I were in a forest now? If I were literally somewhere that resembles nature. So it comes down to basic things like should I eat, for example, rice? if I were in nature now, would rice be available to me? And the answer seems like yes, but then I learned that it's no. In order to have rice, we need a farm, we need factory, we need to have a lot of space and water. So if you just naturally go to nature, you might find a little bit of rice here there, but not in a big scale like we see today, like we see in Bali, for example. And like when people talk about eating things like let's say cookies, is this natural? Oh, every ingredient comes from nature. Yeah, probably, but how accessible is that to us? So for me, the deconstruction began actually in the basis of existence and survival. What do I drink? What do I eat? What time I sleep? Am I a night person or a day person? That's another thing that I realize that we have our own natural biological clock. So going back to basis helped me to realize what's really me and what's really natural and what's not.
Well said. That's amazing. That's an amazing approach. Yes.
How about you, Xuan?
Because Julia has known me for a long time, so I used to be the most complicated life leader. I used to accumulate so much for my life. I used to do a business that encouraging people to buy more things that they don't need. So I lived a life like that. And so I truly experienced how amazingly unreasonable that life is. So it's through that experience of not making sense, then I started to wonder, what do I really need? Because I thought having all these things that I desired, I would be happy and I would experience fullness, but it's the opposite. Then I started to wonder, this is not true. I want to see true. I want to see the big deal. What is this all about? This freedom, this truth. I would call it nature at that time. Then I realized for the past more than 1 decade, universe just revealed more and more how much less we actually need. I'm still experiencing now. It's like Julia knows what a simple life I'm living now. But like every day, like I still experience, wow, I actually need less than I know right now. It's just amazing. The more we realize that even just like one thing, one by one, that, oh, actually, I can experience peace and fullness without this thing I thought was important. Like, just like little, like this subtle moment that we are willing to let go of something we thought was important, something was necessary in our life. And the more we see, actually, there's more that we really don't need. And we just like keep seeing the truth. What's left after we letting go more, what we think is necessary. What's left is more the nature, or whatever we call it, nature, this essence, the very most important thing. It just is there. That's my experience right now.
Thank you for sharing. I think, like you said, when we start realizing that we need less and less, we start getting closer and closer to who we are.
Yeah.
And then this digging doesn't stop there. Let's say what people try to say about minimal life and minimalistic lifestyle. Does it help? Is it natural? I don't know. But what I can say is that when you realize you don't need all these things, and when you get closer to the core of who you are, over the last years I realized that there is more digging to do. You know, like, do I need to be upset about this?
Yeah.
Do I need to prove something? Do I need to explain? Do I need to know this?
Yes.
So I even search for answers where I need to know why you do this, or why you're treating me like this, for example. These things began to start making sense to me because it felt like unnatural. Also, like, it's not my problem how people treat me. It's like, it's their thing, it's their reality. So what's natural in my space, you know? So the digging doesn't stop, the construction doesn't stop, until you realize that all we have here and all we need is just this presence and this breath that we have, and just being here and now and fully mindful about every little thing. And what we are comes down to, we are just this pure existence, you know? There's nothing else out there. But when we start thinking that we need this or we need that, we start to realize that we are more than existence, and then now we are a character, and then we are a character that have these attributes and these characteristics, and interact with other characters. So we start building up again and again, and finding things that we need, things that we think we are, and we start claiming and demanding for respect, or you should talk to me like this or like that. And we stop being simple, you know. So thank you for sharing, Joanna. I mean,
Well, what you said was, I really just like resonate so deeply. It's like what you said just like concluded my past like 20 years experience. Is so bang on. It's so bang on. Yes, there's, you know, when we are practicing being more and more aware, and we'll see this subtle moment. Oh, it's, wow, I think I'm being very simple, and I let go so much already. This mind thinks. But when we're aware of, wow, the mind's habit is still like labeling things, trying to fit in some identity so the mind feels safe. Like, I'm a vegan, I do it for this and that. If people ask me, what can I say? You know, like really subtle moment we have this thoughts like moving through. And I just laugh. It's when the moment when I see that subtle, like even labeling ourselves as I'm a meditator, or you know, I am this and that. I'm a person who doesn't care about this, or I'm a person who already is so aware. You know, like this habit, this mind's habitual pattern of grabbing things, wanting to explain ourselves, and that's what makes us limited. It's before we you know, like before I easily would like fight on those things, that I'll try to prove myself to myself who I am. And and now it's like when I see that, it's just like, oh my god, that's pretty cute. it's like a little child. It's pretty cute, and you just allow it to be because you know that's not you.
You use an interesting word there when you were talking about subtlety, being subtle. It's like when we are too complicated, we want to be loud and colorful and very expressive, but when we're just quiet in the silence and just aware, you start to perceive subtlety of things. And for me, that's a very big sign of nature, like subtlety. Like start to realize sounds or smells and wind, and realizing how you feel. Even start feeling places and energy or whatever, which is strange. And this other thing that you mentioned is quite funny, because as we embark to this spiritual journey, so-called spiritual journey, we don't realize, but we're at the same time building this spiritual character.
Yes.
And the people that know us go like, you didn't change, you're still the same, look at you, and you're still doing the same things. And then we become like offended, insulted, and how is it possible, like, So I spent a few years deconstructing this idea of how more spiritualized I am, and that's when we start seeing all that pain and the ego being deconstructed too, because we're not spiritual. We can peel more than that and get to the core of what we are, what's natural. It's quite natural when we start judging people like, oh, that person is so unaware. That person has such a long spiritual journey to go. That's so far from natural, seriously.
Yes, the moment we are having this thought, we're the opposite of what we call nature.
Yeah, exactly.
Well said.
Yeah, and I remember this. I think maybe this subtlety of it can be told in maybe like an example of a child who is like happily dancing.
Yeah.
So the child's happily dancing, and being so unaware, she does kind of like a couple of flips, and the mom goes like, oh, my child's a genius. And in that very moment when the child like becomes aware of a praise, something changes. Something changes in the way that she's doing already. It's no longer like from. I'm not saying therefore we shouldn't, but I'm saying then suddenly maybe this little girl starts to look out for making the mom smile again. Maybe she does another flip, the mom will smile again, and then so it's as subtle as that.
Yeah.
That switches that moment into what is not natural anymore. There's something lost in that sheen of not looking.
Yeah. Yeah, well said, Julia. And it happens the opposite, the other way too, right? When we learn it, when we were children, we're so aware of if people let us feel that we're not good or we're something that is wrong, then we kind of learn, okay, this is not acceptable and I have to be something else. Then I could deserve people's recognition or my father's smiles. It really is so embedded in this pattern of our mind that we have this false belief that there is something wrong, that we must keep trying to hide something and we have to put on some sort of mask, being aware or not aware. It's it's
to
just
be accepted, to
Yeah.
almost like find a justification for being here, to be of worth, to be of a kind of like a value. I'm wondering, like maybe that desire to want to be of value maybe is a natural thing, but the way that we have shrouded ourselves with striving, with getting, with having, even if it's beyond the material, like maybe identity, or maybe having a regard for ourselves, other people's regard for ourselves. We cloak ourselves with layers of different things, and we know that it's there when we feel maybe upset or feel a bit icky when we don't get what we want, or what is right is not done. So there's a kind of like a when and that moment of discomfort shows us not only what's wrong with the world, but more so it shows us what is out of sync within ourselves, that we probably are in a kind of like, using your word, is like in a grabbing mode, taking something in order to put on to ourselves.
Yes. What we need to grab to put on ourselves are not what we are. Anything we can grab on. Isn't it amazing? Anything that we can add on, anything that we can try hard to become, is not what we are.
One of the things I realized that whatever we are not comes with identification. I give you an example. If you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, someone that you have feelings for, and you say, for example, I like when you touch my hair when I'm driving, for example, or when you hug me when washing dishes, for example. And the thing is, after you identify that, and that person also identified that, and that person start putting effort into request the identification and request, it doesn't feel natural anymore. We think, oh, I should be grateful for this because that person is doing what I want, or you see, something that we want or something we need, something extra of what we are, and then it feels unnatural, like, oh, I shouldn't have said that because it doesn't feel natural. You're doing because I asked you to, not because it's like from your nature. So what I realized that anything that becomes like something similar to what you said, anything that we can grab. So the grabbing stance I would put would be like anything we can identify or label is an extra thing that we are not, and that's unnatural. Even in relating, I like when we're couples, people start making a lot of demands, like, I wish you say good morning first thing in the morning, and and make breakfast for me, even though you can do, right? But do you feel like you're being yourself? Do you feel natural? Or even that person, okay, that person might be feeling fulfilled, but does you feel that you're being natural? Is there like that subtle realization in the space between two people, for example, So are we seeing that subtlety moment by moment? That's a tricky part in my perspective.
Yeah, I think that's a great example to to bring this up, like how it presented in a relationship, because that's a part people easily get bite into, because there's a clear mirror in front of you, always showing what you are. And I think Eddie just brought up this amazing example. Like, I'm sure all of us have this experience that when we're in a relationship, sometimes you know the other person is doing exactly what you like. They're doing exactly what you told them you like. But when they do it, you appreciate that, but deep inside you feel there's something not content, because you feel it's not real. Because what the demands or your request behind it, it's you want to experience love. But when they deliver the action, you don't feel love. You feel their pressure. You feel they're trying to please you. You just know you might not know why is that. You are actually not happy, even though they're doing exactly what you want them to do. But it's the disconnection, this being far away from nature, being far away from authenticity at that moment, creates this disconnection that bring out this unsatisfaction and feeling unsatisfied. So we cannot lie. Within a relationship, we cannot lie. We cannot pretend at all. The other person really feels.
I think what you're saying is very pertinent and relevant, because when you ask someone, hey, can't you say you love me? So I'm thinking here, that person wants that because that person thinks he or she needs that. But if you're asking someone to be unnatural, you're being unnatural first.
Yes, you're asking.
If it's alive in me, like I want to say I love you, and I'm just spontaneously saying that, I'm being natural. But if I'm requested to express love in a given time, and not my timing, to fulfill someone's need, how much is that person natural or in tune with herself or himself? So I think this being natural it's a very, very relevant topic, especially when it's more visible and more we can perceive much more when we're interacting with people, in our relatings, in the space between people, That's where we realize, this is natural. What is this thing I'm feeling? This subtlety. Then like you mentioned about that person is doing what I asked, but I'm not fully satisfied.
It's I resonate so much what you just said. What would we can replace this word natural, being natural in a relationship? If we replace this word with honesty, like 100% honesty.
I have the word similar to it, but I use the word integrity. Am I being integral?
Yes.
Am I being fully myself? Like, am I fully in this? Like, number one, am I being kind to myself? Am I fully happy and willing to do this with all my energy and enthusiasm, and my feelings are following this, and my thoughts, everything's just in? Is it like that? So am I integrally into that moment,
Yes.
Because even someone asks me, hey, can't you just kiss me before you go? And I'm like, okay, then maybe I can do that, but it's just partial part of me. You know, that person is not getting all of what I am because of this kind of request, for example, you know.
So, may I ask you then, so are all requests therefore unnatural?
It really depends, because when you're now observing that when you're requesting that person has to leave her presence and awareness, and she has to become something else to fulfill something, it's completely unnatural. But if I need to go to the toilet and I request, hey, can you excuse me, I really have to use the toilet, that's natural, because it's really alive in you.
Yes.
So it's very different. That's exactly what our friend here just talked about, this subtlety. You have to be aware. There's no formula. Oh, is this natural? Is this not natural? Because if we start labeling and putting this into a equation, then that's already not observed. That's not perceived. That's not natural. There's no natural formula here.
Yes, bang on. It's amazing how you put it.
Yeah, bang on.
How this it's amazing. Yes, exactly. If there's any tendency, any subtle manipulation that you might not even be aware, that you want the other person to treat you in some way, like you request something that is not what this person experienced, you want to like twist it, like, you know, twist a little bit to fulfill you, and that's already what you asked for. What the asking is already not nature. Even the part of you that wants that to happen is not nature. It's not you. It's not truly you.
You know, this is very interesting because I give you an example. When you request something to someone,
Yeah.
and then you just like, hey, can you give me some money, for example? And then you go like, wait, I cannot go straight for it and just ask like that. I have to break the ice. I have to break the ground. So you're already programming yourself for not being yourself and breaking the ice
Yes.
to make it that request.
Yes.
Is it natural, really? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Are you really yourself at that moment?
I can't agree more. It's this is again, it's like perfect example. Like even the idea is to be nice. Even the idea is to, you know, let's say I say this way is because the result I want is good for the other person, is being kind to the other person. Even like undercover,
Exactly.
having this undercover of kindness.
Exactly.
Or I'm doing this because I'm thinking for the other person. I want the best for the other person. I want the result to be the best for both of us, you know, or I can take another level. I'm doing this for God.
Or I'm doing this because I love you.
Yes.
You know?
Doing this because of universal peace.
So it's just like a mom saying, you know, I know what's best for you. You know, you just be grateful for what I am doing for you. But you have to check if that child, if it's that moment, if that child is alive in that, or if this is just something that coming from top to bottom, from parents to kids, like assuming, you know, I know the best, you just follow what I want you to follow. So how natural would that child feel, you know?
Yeah.
How much that child is in tune with him or herself.
Yeah.
So for me, when you mention the word kindness, I immediately relate it to ID again, an identification. You know, I'm being kind.
Yes.
So when you go into the kind mode, are you being yourself? Is that really kind then? If you're not being yourself and you're saying, "Oh, I'm going to do this because I want to do kindness for that person because it's good for that person," then you're already not yourself. And that person will receive something that it's not really you.
Yeah.
Is that really kind?
Yeah.
And then are you being natural?
Yeah.
And it happens like in daily scripts everywhere, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, I spent all my years saving so that you can have tuition, you know. So, aren't you grateful for it? Shouldn't you live up to my high hopes for you? You know, that in itself already is a kind of like a, is it natural? Definitely not. But it's happening like day in, day out, and it's considered right and good, right? Like Mother's Day just came and went, and it could have been done 100 different ways, but if it sounds like, oh, it is something that must be done because, oh, you didn't do it, you know, Tom and Harry's mother got XYZ, and then I got this little thing here, you know, you're not a good daughter or something like that. So how natural is that? And yet it happens daily, day in, day out, you know.
One thing I realized that being natural is free from values.
Yes.
You know, if somebody asks me, "Are you a good son?" I would say, "I don't know. Let me check." You know, then I have to be alive and be very present to now, because I don't know what's a good son. Am I a good son? Am I a son, or am I good? Or I'm just now present to this conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we just observe that kind of subtlety and being present here and now. Because, you know, being natural, it's not a permanent state. You have to be really, really observant and see every detail. Be very alive in each and every moment, so that you're authentic to what is. But when you attach yourself to values or ideas like, am I a good son or a good professional or a friend, then you're no longer natural. You're putting yourself somewhere and then building a character. That character cannot perceive anything of the moment. Identifications, in other words, they're not necessarily aware. Identifications are concepts, they're thoughts. Thoughts come and go. And when we are not aware, we try our best to make that as permanent as possible. That good image of what we want to build and make it as permanent as possible, you know?
Just now you said the character is totally not capable of being present. Yeah, it's such a mind-bending kind of thought, right? Then people will be like scratching their head, like, what then is present? If the character is not present, then what then is present? And why is the character not present? Let's look at this.
That's a good question. And the character can only exist in a scenario, space, and time. We tend to think that being present is staying where between the past and the future, and then this gap in between is present, but actually it's not. present is something eternal, like infinite. We never saw, we never touched. We're just there. Like you said, if we can grab, then that's not natural, right? That's presence. So why can't the character be aware of itself? Why the character cannot be in existence? Because it's a thought, number one. And what is present then? The awareness behind in this whole existence that there is a character. That's present. That's natural. That's always in observation, observing the character, because it's not in it. It's everywhere.
Yes.
Always being there.
So let's say if I am only in my mind, performing the role of, let's say, the perfect girlfriend, okay? And in my role of this perfect girlfriend script, I need my boyfriend to be perfect. I need to be doing certain things for him, like maybe I'll bake like some cookies and, serve it up for breakfast, and then he will have to be a certain way, like he will have to fit into a certain mold, like he will have to be delighted, and he'll probably give you flowers. But what I'm saying therefore is that in that character, in that persistence and that focused attention on that character, we are funneling the whole of reality through this expectation and performance that probably we might not be, our attention is probably not available for what otherwise might be happening, right? And what is happening then is probably, like what Eddie was saying, being able to observe two clowns playing a game, or not clowns, but maybe two characters playing a game of expecting things of each other, or running by a script of something. Then that probably will be more present than thinking that what is present is what you have to do for me.
Let me put this in another way, because let's subtract the value out of this for a while and put it aside, okay? Let's not put this into the right or wrong, good or bad. Just for a second. When we are playing along those characters, does that mean we're not present? Does it mean it's wrong? It doesn't mean anything, actually. We keep putting meaning, but it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it's empty.
We can see ourselves or the character acting like a couple or whatever, but if we're aware of the subtlety of the consciousness that these things could be in observation, it doesn't matter what the characters do.
Yes.
Because that's just a story.
Yes.
And when we don't label it, is it a beautiful story, is this a romantic story, it doesn't really matter. We're just playing along. We're just going along this. And what happens? Is this good? Is this, so life is meaningless? We just enjoy this moment.
Yeah.
We don't put any attribute to it or like any values to it. We're just like observing.
Yes.
Do that for a while. It's so beautiful. It's just blissful and joyful.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, beautifully said. I love this analogy, 比喻, that we are the sky, and we just watch the sunset, the sunrise, the stormy sky, the moon, full moon, new moon, the birds flying, all the different colors, different weathers, and how can we give meaning or trying to, put a label on some elements? It's this distance of the watching, the pure awareness that we are the sky, we are the unchangeable, never changing, still sky, no matter what is there. And I also like another experience is, it's like really just like watching a movie it's exactly the same as you watch this identity, this character playing in her daily life. It's exactly just like you are appreciating a movie that is playing in front of you, that you are so present with what's happening. You want to see what's happening now, instead of like, okay, you pause the movie and for another few days and analyzing, this person in this movie is doing this and that and blah blah, doing all the analyzing, and then you lose the present moment of like really enjoying the movie.
It's true. And sometimes, let's say we are in an argument, and then if we're observing ourselves and the characters, and we start insulting each other, for example, we're also able to step out and just watch it. Like, you see yourself scolding and angry and all that, but still observing. And you can allow it to happen, or maybe not. It doesn't really matter, That's a magical thing, It's like, it does, it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to be like demand ourselves to be 100% kind because we are so aware of things, Because then we're building this conscious character watching this other character,
Yeah.
And that's also unnatural.
That's another construction, that's being made. Shan, I want to ask you, like you have gone through many relationships, right? Where you have learned a lot from. What would you do now differently than before? Let's say that would be more in line with being your authentic, natural self.
Well, that's a big question. It's but this question is no different than how I want to live my life now. It doesn't matter being in relationship or not. It doesn't matter I'm around people or by myself. It's surrendering, trusting, surrendering, and being fully present and honest. Like, really surrender all the thoughts, identification, all the things. Every moment I'm aware I'm grabbing, I'm willing to let it go, and that's the only way I experience myself, and that's the only way that's fair for other people to experience who I am, because I get to express what I am without trying to show and trying to convince. I just want to, it's the only thing I want for my life. Totally freedom. And the other, when I'm being that, whatever the mirrors reflect is right now, I just keep seeing myself, and there's no keeping anyone in hostage, even myself. Yes, letting allowing the allowing freedom within me. That's how I would want to live without a relationship or being in a relationship.
Thank you for sharing that. I think surrender is one of the things that it's like this flowing life, and existence, awareness, consciousness is taking us, and there's this full trust, you don't know it's gonna be good, bad, it doesn't matter, it's just full surrender. And it's actually quite amazing being among this energy of surrender when everybody surrenders. It's rare, right? But no need to deconstruct anymore or identify, or we should do this or should do that, or we need this or that. Just surrender. It's like, it doesn't even make sense to explain, because we just have to go through it.
So does this state of being authentic and natural and surrendered, is it without outcomes? Then if people jump out and say, oh man, I've been doing this for some time but no results, what then is happening?
I think if we do something, this something or whatever it is, and then we look at it and go like, oh, I'm doing this, but no result. This, whatever this is, it's an idea, is an action, is identifiable, is very tangible. So I wonder if it's surrender,
So it probably was not, right? In any degree. That means it had been all funneled. It looks like it had been funneled.
Usually when you say this, we are able to point at something, like an object. It's something like very concrete, even though it's a thought. Surrender doesn't know that.
Shen?
When you say, I'm so surrendered to you and your wishes, oh my God.
Surrender to my wishes now!
This was so funny. This the subtlety that I didn't see the mind, the separate ego, this character who manipulate in a very subtle way. Like, okay, I'm not saying, for example, like there's a mind, there's a identity that is like, okay, I'm not gonna tell him that I'm sacrificing for him, but because I'm so wise, I want to be wise, so I want to do this and that and make him realize and look how much I'm doing this for him, so he should be grateful and realize how important I am in his life. This like subtlety, like, look, I'm going to do these activities, take these actions, say these words to prove that I surrender already. There's no me. I'm I'm really just like being authentic and kind, like natural. Like even just the thought of being, like trying to pull something. This little me wanting some outcome, just like the subtleness, anything that you want to achieve, good or bad, whatever, there's no good or bad. Whatever you want, you really want to do something and having an outcome. Just like Eddie said, that's not surrendering, because surrendering doesn't experience all these. Nothing.
So
Surrender doesn't have a goal or aim.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That maybe that's called like planning or projecting or making a project. But that's exactly what surrender
It's not, right? So what? Does it mean that there is no fixing? We can't fix anyone? Really? How?
I think everyone is perfectly exactly how this event or this experience and this existence is, just being that, and we go through it, like just like flowing in this flow of existence. There's no fixing, because there's nothing wrong. If you need fixing, then who is the one thinking that needs fixing, and what is there to be fixed? You know what I mean?
But there's so many things wrong. You look at him. He's not doing what he should be doing, and if I don't fix, I'm irresponsible. I'm an irresponsible mom. I am an irresponsible partner. So how?
Oh my god, it's been a long time I don't interact with people like that. I don't know how it is anymore.
Yeah, I think it's great that Julia brings this up, like as a parent's perspective. It's so well, I can relate to the perspective of this healer mindset. Like, I see this person's higher self is just like so perfect and amazing, but this person is not aware of that. I have to wake him up and let him see and fix his problem so he can live his life fully. Like anything that even that's a trap. Like you think you really know what's the best for the other person, and the other person, it's just something broken and you need to fix it for him. That even the glasses, that this filter that you're looking through is not who you really are. It's a trap. It's a trap.
Well, if I can't fix the situation, then how am I accountable? How am I responsible? Like, even to myself, if I don't fix this thing about me, how am I responsible for me?
Well, the responsibility has so many concepts. And when we talk about the thoughts, we should let the thoughts go. The thoughts come and go, but there are some thoughts that we don't even think they are thoughts because we believe they are true. So we don't even keep the distance to look at them. We don't see them as concept. We think that's our responsibility. There's no discussion about it. Those things are the exact thing that now, at this moment, we really need to be so aware what they are. They're just a bunch of thoughts that we really believe they are real. So we don't even question. We don't even see them as the thoughts that we can, go past. So once we see the responsibility that I have to do this. This is my responsibility as a human being, as a good mother.
What do you mean? Are you saying that my daughter is a thought?
Actually, yes.
Actually, yes.
As scary as it can be,
As scary as it can be.
we are all thoughts. And then what's consciousness? It's another thought. So do we exist? Maybe. When we are aware of it. But look, this is a very very complicated topic.
Yeah.
No, but
I don't wanna answer
seriously,
this.
you know,
You
the
want,
thing
we
about
can make it another episode.
Yeah, that's a long story.
so this thing about, you know, the way that if we are living life, imperatives upon imperatives, responsibilities, scripts after scripts. When we launch into that, people around us or what we are looking at become an idea more than more than who they are, I suppose, because we are relating to them from an idea, so they become an idea. So when Eddie said that are they thoughts, yes, they might very well be, which
Yes.
might be very true. I think all of us might. I think looking at growing up, childhood years, interaction with child and parent is a very good place to look at how these things are played out, right? That when do children become thoughts and when do parents become thoughts? Yeah? How does that happen and how does it look like? Shen? Tell us something.
Well, can you reframe the question again?
I'm saying that, you know, when we enact our lives from an idea, from a script, from something that needs to happen a certain way, the people who are involved in that story have all become a thought point. They are thoughts. Do we really know them? Do we really know this child? Have
Yes.
we ever met that
Yes.
person
Exactly.
behind our idea?
Exactly. Yeah, for the past year, I've been experiencing, like, exploring these, and the mirrors around me have been teaching me about this. And well, in the beginning, is universe is teaching me through the mirrors, the people around me. And since last year, this lesson becomes like even more internal, like more inward. That imagine just what you just said, like as a mother to a daughter, or children seeing their parents, or what Eddie said, you know, in being a relationship, intimate relationship. Have we even ever met the other person? Or they just exist in our ideas, you know? And I'll bring it to another level. That's my very this experience I experienced deeply from last year. What if we say this relationship, like, if I live in my mind and I actually never meet the other person, I actually never meet my mother. I just like create this idea of my mother, and she just lives according to my script of these ideas I have about what she is like. Let's bring it to another level within. If I live in my mind, I have all the concepts and idea about myself. Have I ever truly know who I am?
Yeah, have I
Have I ever
myself?
meet this person? Have I ever know who I am? Isn't it shocking? Not to even mention, have you ever met a person who is so intimate with you? Bring this awareness inward. Have I really know who I am? Ever? That's shocking, isn't it?
I'm so honored that you said all this. I'm so honored to be in this conversation, because then how would I relate? When people come to me and say, I'm a human, I have these needs and these basic needs, and we live in a human world. For me, the conversation ends there. People want to start talking by putting all these directives and these laws of so-called laws of humanity. Then usually I'll step out. But if we talk about how we relate to people, what I actually do and practice is, when I talk, I'm observing myself. I'm like, what's alive in me now? What am I feeling? And I take out all that identity of who I think I am, and just every interaction, every minute, I'm observing and re-meeting this being at that moment. Even now, like 5 minutes, I don't know who I was anymore because I forgot, but now I'm just like, what's alive in me? I'm grateful, I'm so happy, and feel so much peace, I'm so happy talking here. So it's like, even us, we're punctually every moment re-existing again, and we don't know who we are. So how to interact with people then? Like you now, when I talk to you, I don't remember exactly who you were the other time we talked. So I'm re-meeting you again through meeting me again, and that's the beauty of it. And I'm feeling different. I don't recall exactly what I felt the first time, but I'm feeling so content now. So it's like finding out, who am I? What's alive now?
Yes.
And this space we share, it requires a lot of attention and letting go of whatever we think we remember,
Yeah. Yes.
And
Yes.
and
Yes.
some of that letting go, what happens if it has to do with the primal chord? It hits a primal chord of, like, it really hits at the root of your insecurity. Like, how then? Like,
when you say your insecurity, then we have to transform this you need to have a container of that. Then we have to build that
Surely.
container so that the insecurity belongs to something.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of construction being done, and then finally we create identification, and then on top of that we'll label it. So when you ask me this, for example, I have to observe, do I have insecurities? I don't feel that right now, but so what is this? Then I would have to ask you that. What insecurity are you talking about? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't have that permanent insecurity that's hidden. I don't even know, because it's not alive now.
Yeah, there is a work that is done in the naming and the labeling of things. And sometimes we give something a name so that we could see it more clearly from a certain perspective. But maybe sometimes we name some things to grab it, to own it.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you're owned, claimed. This is it. It cannot be any other thing. right? So the work that is done through naming and labeling things, how natural is it?
That's a good question because, like, now we're interacting and we're using a lot of excuse, like using words, using communication, so that we are able to interact and see who we are and see the mirror and enjoying this moment, for example. So for me, language and things like that, it's just an excuse. You see? It's just like when you look at the ocean and you know that there is wind, it's because you're looking at the surface of the water and the water have ripples and movement, and then you say, oh, okay, I perceive there's wind there. So the wind would be like the ripples would be like an excuse. You're seeing, oh, what is that? Then you realize, oh, maybe it's wind. So you see, this is a bunch of excuses that we are aware of just to perceive existence, you know? Oh, so what's the purpose of existence? There isn't necessarily a purpose. Or you have to create one, a story or a label or an identification for that, but do you need to?
Yeah. Yeah. Even letting the need go is fully surrender and trust. It's like even letting go the desire of being aware and conscious, or like being awakening, like see the desire and even willing to let it go.
I get what you're saying. It's so crazy because it's almost like when we talk about, oh, I'm already awakened a few years back, and I'm in this trajectory and path to enlightenment.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's so crazy. Right?
Yes. When we see that, oh, the mind wants to know where we are to feel safe. And when at the moment when we see that, even trying to make sense of our spiritual journey, even seeing that as every other thoughts and let it go and just be present. It's the power is beyond the mind's understanding. Even the most important purpose that we think we cannot let go of, even this present moment, you are aware of that, you see that idea and you let that go. It's so interesting that actually sometimes it's shocking to witness, to really experience how much more I actually experience when I let my spiritual goal go. It's like letting go of the chaser and the analyzer and the idea that I have to make sure where I am with my compass. Let that go, because you come back to this space that you know it's already done. You're safe. There's nothing to chase. Consciously choose to be in this space and just know this can be let go. And
This is so beautiful.
Everything the spiritual character wants to experience in her spiritual life, spiritual experience. Actually, when the person starts to chase and just rest in this pure awareness, and all will be happening for her to experience. It's such irony, but such a beauty that actually, when we even let go of that, all you ever wanted, desire, even beyond your mind, understand? Your mind doesn't even know you want that. All that would happen without you wanting it.
You know, this is amazing because at that point, we're not even seeking for understanding anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, this letting go and this surrender is absence of understanding and logics. It's just going home, you know, like really going home.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing this. You know, you put in such beautiful words. It's like so grateful.
I'm so grateful too. I'm so grateful that to see you, to see this beauty that I used to chase to see. But now this beauty is like constantly revealing itself in front of me through you, mirrors. I'm just so grateful for how simple and how simple, how beautiful it is. Thank you for allowing me to experience this simplicity.
Thank you so much. I don't even have words anymore.
Yeah.
If we are, the other day I think I was I shared with Julia, because a few I have to get into my mind to remember. The other I think 2 weeks ago there was like one day this inspiration just came to me that, you know, it's just like inspiration. I didn't plan to, just a intuition that, oh, I never channeled this me on my last living day on this planet. Wow, yeah, I never thought of it. I would, you know, I experience all these experiences of like channeling something, but never me on my last living day. The day when I'm going to die, the consciousness of that, the consciousness which is experiencing that story of me dying, the day. I remember I was like riding on my motorbike, and this idea, this inspiration just suddenly came, and suddenly this is like the consciousness just expands to that experience, and I just started crying because it's just so beautiful. Because when that consciousness is here, I just experience this unspeakable gratitude and peace. And I lived that day. There was, well, sometimes during that day, I would have some conversations with that consciousness, like in words, in human words, so my mind process, but mostly there was no words. And it's like imagine there's a movie that this person actually invites herself when from her dying day to come back to relive this day together. So that day, I had some really beautiful conversation with that consciousness. And that's not even the point. The experience is like, on my dying day, how, and she come back to revisit this day already happened in her life. For her, it's like maybe like several decades ago. She'll rather come back on her dying day, on her last day, to relive this day for me, with me. And she wants that. She will travel all the way back to live this day with me. And it's the moment that I realize how important this day is. If on my dying day, I'll remember to come back this exact specific this day, that means this day is so magnificent, so significant that she'll come back to relive this day. So now if she, the consciousness is here back, my beloved, come back to experience this day. What would I want for her? What would I want for her? If your most beloved soul is living this life experience, what would you want for your most beloved person to experience?
Exactly this. Nothing else.
And I experienced this. It's like no words. I lived my day, that day, so sacred without even trying. This is so significant. Every moment, what would I want her to experience before she leaves? And it shocks me because what happened to make us so distracted that we don't think we should live this day like that? We don't think we should live this moment like that. And a few days like after that day experience, every day it just, my inspiration of how I live my day is just like, this is really my dying day. And if I'm going to just like drop dead later today or even next hour, what is the most important thing right now? I know it's easier for people to understand that, okay, if I'm dying like soon today, of course I'll only remember the most important things like love and freedom and all this soul's deepest desires, not like the money in my bank account, not something I haven't finished, you know, like if you have the last moment and you do know what are the things that you unsaid you want to express, what are the people you want to tell them you love them, what is this experience you want to experience, what is the most important thing underlying all these desires that you want to do for your last living day. It's actually very simple. The most important thing is so simple, but we're so distracted that we live our daily life as the most important thing is less important than the unnecessary things. It's so amazing how we can be so distracted the way we live our life. And then I started to play with this inspired me to play with some practice, some meditation. I mean how I live my day. And I would invite you to, or anyone who is watching, if I will never be invited to this webinar again, I really want to invite everyone to play with this. So just today, or just the coming 2 hours, just play, just pretend. Imagine everything you desire in your life, all your dreams or your wishes have been fulfilled. Like up till this moment, everything's done. Everything's done. Complete, accomplished. You get all the recognition you want. You get all the desires fulfilled. Everything you can come up with is already complete, perfectly. You achieved everything you want in this life. You are that now. Experience that now. It's a space where you know you're safe. You know you don't need to chase after anything. You know you don't need to grab on anything to be comfortable, to be at peace with yourself. There's no conflict. You're in peace with everything, everyone, even all the aspects in your life within yourself. This world, this earth is thriving. Everything is just as beautiful, as peaceful as it could be. And now, the moment you're experiencing that, even you just live that for a few hours, it really like not thinking about that, how I can be that, but really fully be that. And then during the day, when the thoughts or the mind habit come in, and you immediately will see, oh, I don't need that because I already done, complete. It's solved. In that restfulness, in that fully resting, like finally I can enjoy my life because there is nothing more I need to do. There's nothing more that requires me from the experience of being nothing, doing nothing.
And also like being, then probably in my imagining, my present, I would be so grateful for it. No matter how broken, how stupid, how unenlightened I am now, however struggling, because probably this will be the genesis of more and more natural because my idea of a completion would be, I'll be like fully satisfied of myself, like fully satisfied, and how that, if ultimately that, then maybe where I am now will bring me there. So I'll be fully grateful. I won't struggle. I wouldn't think that there's something wrong, and even what is wrong is accepted for what it is. Yeah.
This feeling that you described is that we are already there.
Yes.
There's nothing to be fulfilled.
Yes.
It's just that we're so distracted, so distracted that we don't get to go back home.
Right now.
One of the sessions I went through in Brazil with the Amazon tea, I saw this loop of existence that never stops. And I cannot die. I never die, but I keep coming back all the time. And at that time, I thought I was going mad, and then I realized that this will never stop. How can I stop this? I want to stop this. And what you described just now is that when we perceive that, it's almost like we're already dead. We're not even alive. We've been dead all along, And we're so fulfilled and so happy, so peaceful on that. There's no price on that. There's nothing we can try and then we will achieve that, you know what I mean? And one of the things that really helped me here in Thailand is allowing death, like shedding, embracing shadows, and knowing that there was a point where I didn't see the difference between life and death, and then even the fact that is there such thing as life, really, So thank you for sharing that, because I don't know many people that experience that.
I'm sure you experienced, but your mind was not thinking about it.
And that's natural, you know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. What I described that moment, really we experience that all the time, but we experience that we are not even aware of it, because the mind is not labeling anything. The mind is not chasing. It's just like calm and not thinking about it. We do. I believe everyone in their life experience that. Just it's not their priority yet, to pay attention to that. That's all.
I should experience happening at this very moment, and not only pertinent to humans, but all of existence, We're all this one whole mass, There's no you or me or,
Yeah,
Thank you for the opportunity to meditate.
and that even that feeling of disjuncture in the moment is, if there's any discomfort of not arriving or not being fulfilled here, is perfect in itself, because it is exactly that brings us back again and again, and invites the voice and the desire again and again to bring us back to the true nature, to that nature of who we are, and that is, without that, how do we come home? It is the lamb by which we come home.
I would say the experience might be that the more we let go, the more we reach. The more we let go, the more we can really be open, and then we allow ourselves to see what's already here. It's already our nature, already what we are, and like coming home. Before, I would say, whatever we're experiencing is bringing us home, or we're always walking each other home, And what if we are always home? We never left. We're just the babies. We're the babies, we're the most beloved babies, sleeping soundly in this loving cradle of universe, God, whatever you call it.
And what if
dreaming about, the babies are dreaming about the adventures they want, all the adventures.
That's why when people talk to me about development or evolving or stage. It doesn't make sense to me, you know, because we never left.
Yeah, we never left.
We never left.
We are already it, and we never left.
And we're in the soup of that experiencing where all of that which is happening, even the things that don't feel so great now or whatever, hey, all of it exists to walk us home, which is now. And that's so much gratitude there.
Thank you so much for today. I want to thank everyone that came to observe us.
Well, today we have many people who popped in to observe. We have Tun Zhong Xie, Yan, thank you, Yan, Elliot, Annie, Evelyn, Dottie came in also. I think I'm looking from my page, but there are lots of others on various fronts. So thank you very much for listening in.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sweetheart, for being here with us today, Shen.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
I hope to see you soon.
Yeah. See you soon. Love you. Bye.
Bye.